When you left the game,
Yes.
was the transition easy or hard?
It was brutal, difficult. Yeah, because you've done that your whole life. It's who you are. And then all of a sudden you stop. So I remember the first year I was retired when training camp rolled around, like mid-January, and I wasn't going to practice. It was the weirdest feeling ever. But you kind of learn, you adapt, you adjust. But I think every player who retires from any sport, having done it a long time, there's going to be an adjustment period.
Did you know though that you were done?
I knew that 6 months before because I didn't love playing anymore. Yeah, I didn't love it. Waking up and having to drag myself to practice, I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I knew.
So then what did you do for those next 6 months? And I ask because every time I work with a young class of players, whether it be Seahawks rookies or you talk to young draft picks, you know, in baseball, and I tell them, you know, look, you and I are kind of in the same position, right? I know that there's another career out there for me at some point in time, right? Because it's just the way that it works. You know that there's another career, but that doesn't necessarily make it easier to transition. There's also people out there right now who are transitioning in their careers who never once thought they were gonna have to.
Exactly.
So what do you do for that 6 months in between where you know that you're done, but you don't want to leave the game and you can't figure out, well, how do you play it out?
Force myself to go to practice, try to change my mind every day and be like, fall back in love with it. And I could not do it. So I think at that point, I began to have convos with my coaches and teammates and being like, look, I'm leaning towards doing this. Do you think it's the right decision? Everyone told me no. Like, you know, you're going to miss it because it's such a fun job to have. But I think you just know in your heart. And I did not know what was next. I didn't know. But I preferred that than staying in it because I did not enjoy driving into work every day and I didn't want to do that.
So when did you figure what was the time in between leaving the game and knowing what you were going to do next?
About 2 years, to be honest with you. It took about 2 years. I did everything. I did private soccer coaching. I did broadcasting. I was talking to youth, going to camps, trying to figure out what do I still love and let me find my lane. And then I fell into broadcasting by mistake, kind of like just talking about the game. And then I loved that. And then I fell into coaching at high school, Bellevue High School, and we had a great year, bonded with the kids. And I was like, okay, I want to work with youth as much as I can. So it took me about 2 years to really fall into my lane though.
Could you have ever imagined being as happy as you are now, not playing the game as you were?
No, I tell people all the time, I never thought, one, I'd land on my feet like this, and two, be as content as I am. Like, I'm way happier now than many times in my career. Because your career, when you start your career, you don't think about the end. But you do know it's gonna end, you push it off as much as possible. It's the what's next that scares everyone. And it's really hard, and I've seen it happen so many times with teammates and friends of mine. It's really hard to transition. But for me, if I knew this was what I would do the same decision every day.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, while you're enjoying that bite, we were having this little conversation, and I was really afraid to bring it up.
Yes.
So if you have watched the previous episode of I Cook, You Measure, you know that sometimes soccer rules and stoppage time really drives me crazy. Here's what else drives me crazy. Flopping. Why do we do it? Why does it happen? And keep in mind, I work with football players who get on the ground and then they get right back up and they do not writhe around on the ground.
No, in our sport, to be honest, it's like an art because it's a way to gain advantage, right? If you want to win like a free kick or a penalty and you can kind of con the referee, you're going to do it. So I'm not the biggest fan of it. I didn't do it, I can say that, but it's in our game because it's a way to gain your team an advantage.
So if you didn't do it, were you ever pressured to do it, or did you have enough teammates who would? Because I think sometimes it's also to catch your breath. It's for everybody else to regroup. Like, I get that there's reasons why, but as a fan, sometimes I'm like, come on.
So I'll tell you, so I had teammates who did it. So there's one time I was grateful a teammate did it. So we were playing in Mexico, really hard game, and we were trying to get out there just with a tie. A tie was a great result. And there was only a few minutes left, and I knew he wasn't really injured, but he started rolling on the floor, and that wasted so much time on the clock. And I knew that it took us close to the end of the game, so I was not mad in that moment, but in general, not a big fan of it.
Who was the teammate?
I can't remember the name. Nice try. I can't remember.
Well, it was worth a shot. Okay, so here's what really makes me uncomfortable about this. And if you are a Sounders fan or a soccer fan, you probably know where I'm going. I'm not going to lie. When I watch games and I see that happen, my initial reaction is, if that's your reaction, your leg had better be broken. And instead they get up and they run away. That was not the case for you.
It was not. It was not. I did get my leg broken, and I think it still probably remains like the worst injury probably in Major League Soccer. I would say so. So that was like a gruesome injury that you see once in a blue moon. Yeah, really rough. Yeah.
How did that end up affecting you? And I don't just mean pain-wise or, that's a very traumatic experience. How did that end up affecting you down the line?
No, it does, because the mental recovery, just being away from the team was tough. And then, thinking, will I play again? Won't I play again? I came back and played 2 or 3 more years. Never quite felt the same. Always felt a little bit like I was a bit different. But I think the physical part is obvious, but the mental side is what they don't talk about, overcoming that. Because you get back on the field, you're almost scared every time you're going to get hit. Yeah.
But how does that make you better at everything you do now?
Would I want to go through that again? No. Am I grateful I did? Yes. Because I know I overcame that. I can overcome any adversity. Like that's my mindset. When I face difficult things now, that was brutal. That was like, happening in front of the whole soccer world. It was, talked about so much, and it took me over a year to come back, and I did come back. And so for me, when I face adversities today, I lean back on that, and I'm like, I'm a strong person. I can overcome that. Yeah.
Did you ever watch the highlight?
Never seen it back. Never.
I would imagine that's a little hard considering that it's out there everywhere. I mean,
in
the soccer world, right?
It's out there, and people have that convo with me every time, and I remind them it's the first time they're having that convo. It's my 5,000th time. Like I have it, so I get that. But I've not watched it back, but I understand why. It was a big moment. I remember because it was a game where it was a national TV game too, and it happened, and my phone. I just remember that whole day. But I have it in here that I don't need to try and watch it back.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you having the conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
it was
part of my
a big
story.
moment.
Yeah, part of my story.
Big moment. I Cook, You Measure is presented by Safeway, who encourages you to step up for our high school student athletes through the Nourishing Champions program. The collaboration with Champions of Change provides funding for nutritious snacks and meals for all high school sports teams in need. Use the QR code to donate to Nourishing Champions and fuel success on and off the field.